Hello there and welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm Jennifer Anderson, host of the show. I'm also the executive director of the Georgina Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber, along with Rogers TV Georgina, began this show back in March, really as a way to not only showcase local businesses and the shop local initiatives that we are doing throughout this time, but also to recognize the information, the resources, and what businesses need during the pandemic and as they head from dealing with lockdown, dealing with the framework into reopening and recovery. So we have had 37 episodes to date. We've had almost 120 guests on the show, and they range from business owners to stakeholders to politicians from all levels of government. But what we haven't done is a show like today's show, and I'm very excited about today's show. We have three guests who are colleagues of mine. We want to talk about businesses right across the province and what businesses are going through, and there's no better way to discuss this topic than to have the heads of local chambers of commerce who are throughout the province. So I'm going to introduce my guests now. First, we have Rebecca Shelley, and she is the executive director for the Grimsby and District Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you for joining me today. Next, we have Brenda Whitehead. She is the CEO of the Port Hope and District Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Brenda.
Hello, Jennifer and Rebecca. Always excited to share information with the Chamber Network and show just how resilient our amazing businesses are.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this show. And last but not least, Wendy Parsons is the General Manager of the Leamington District Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for inviting me and my fellow colleagues, Brenda and Rebecca. Always a pleasure to see you, like weekly, daily, maybe.
Daily sometimes. Yeah, and I don't think people maybe understand that we are in a very unique business where organizations where we are constantly talking and exchanging ideas and networking, and it really is a focus. We are the only type of organization in each of our areas, and therefore, you know, we talk to a lot of chambers of commerce and boards of trade right across the province, so we can kind of discuss and bounce ideas and challenges off of one another. Wendy, let's maybe start with you, because for anybody who doesn't know, where is Leamington, and tell us a little bit about your chamber.
Okay, well, we are the southernmost point in Canada, Leamington, and we are about 3/4 of an hour from Windsor, Detroit border. So we're very south. We have about 240 chamber members at this time, and we have a large small business community, and we have a lot of large greenhouses in our area as well. So we're very flat. We get a lot of sun. We do have a bit of snow on the ground today, but it was from that little snowstorm last week. Not too much snow usually.
No. And if we had quite a ways out east, we're heading into Port Hope. Brenda, tell us a little bit about your area.
Thanks, Jennifer. For those of you who aren't aware, Port Hope is right on the 401 corridor. We border up against Durham on the west side and heading into Cobourg on the east side. We are a chamber of commerce that also our primary membership are small businesses and entrepreneurs. We are fortunate to have a number of manufacturers. Auto industry and nuclear are two of our majors in our community, and we have just over 200 members at our Chamber of Commerce.
Very good. And Rebecca, what about you?
Our chamber, the Grimsby and District Chamber of Commerce, we have about 250 members right now, and very similar to Wendy and Brenda, a very large portion of small businesses in our area. It really is the major employer in Grimsby. Grimsby, for anyone who doesn't know, is the very westernmost municipality in the Niagara region. So we're right next to Hamilton and Stony Creek.
Very good. The Anderson family loves Casablanca. As we head south, we know that there is an en route, there is a food court type stop there, and that's where we always stop when we head through there. Yes. I don't know whether this is a touchy subject for you, Rebecca, but I want to talk about colors. And I know that gray is not necessarily the color that you want to be referred to or hear about, but that is currently the status for Niagara Falls, that area.
Yes, so there was quite a bit of shock, I think, in the Niagara region when we learned, as most of the rest of the province was reopening, that we were indeed going to be in the gray area. I think the business community as a whole was very surprised, given that our numbers didn't seem to warrant it. Our medical officer of health, Dr. Hergy, is very concerned about the possibility of variants making their way into Niagara, and also about people traveling to Niagara. There's been some crowds in the tourist destinations in Niagara Falls, and he really wanted to make sure that we were able to stay safe and keep our numbers down. There's been considerable frustration, obviously, for the food and beverage industry, salons, gyms, very, very frustrated at being closed, especially given the measures they've already put in place to keep people safe. Other businesses are ecstatic that they can have, great, I can have 5 people in my store. That's awesome compared to where we were. So it really is a big mix right now, depending on the industry.
Yeah, and I know, especially for our area, you know, having those restrictions eased a little bit, no matter what color it was. So being allowed to have somebody into a store or a business has been a godsend for some of those businesses.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Wendy, you are the same as us in terms of your area right now. You are considered red. I should remind everybody we're taping this on February 23rd. So we all know that things change often. The announcements change, and we want to make sure that that you know, as of February 23rd, these are the colors in the framework that each of these chambers are in. Wendy, how is that compared to, I know Leamington and that area struggled for a long time back in 2020, especially.
Yeah, so Rebecca, I know where you are. We were, I think, the last area to come out of that lockdown last year, and it really frustrated our business community. Just there was so much anger, and the large businesses could open, but the small businesses who were doing so much to practice safety measures were very angry. It's like, why are we not allowed to open? It's like punishment almost. And so going into red, we're very happy that we were allowed to. Our numbers have been pretty high, but they are going to, like, they're coming down quite a bit. So that's really nice news. And most people have embraced the red color. And others are just really COVID fatigued. But as Rebecca said, our gyms, our hair salons, our beauty parlors, like, they've all really suffered a lot. And we're a tourist area, so it's, you know, with the restaurants, and they've really learned how to pivot and get out of this situation. So we're happy to be in red anyway.
Yeah. And we are all somewhat jealous of orange. and that's where Brenda is.
We are orange, and there's a lot of mixed emotion about what color we are, where we are. Northumberland County, like a lot of your communities, geographically, we are huge. Our health unit actually goes as far north as Haliburton, as far east as Campbellford. So we include Haliburton, Kawartha, and Pine Ridge in our health unit. So, you know, the variability of cases, even within the districts, within our health unit, Haliburton hasn't had a single case the last time I looked. So that may have changed in the last few days. And so we're kind of mixed, because our numbers may not warrant us being at orange, but we all know and we all understand and have lived the migratory nature of city slickers and, you know, the Durham region people who made no hesitation of coming out to our community, because we are less than an hour from downtown Toronto, right on the 401. And so we are a little bit hesitant to opening our doors to other communities that are still recognized as hotspots that are starting to have outbreaks of the different variants, that kind of thing. Our businesses have embraced whatever comes our way. We are very lucky. We live by the montage that local support local. Port Hope's downtown is the best preserved main street in Ontario. So it is a tourism destination, but our locals also appreciate shopping there and having the services available. So we've been very good from a resiliency standpoint. Our tourism industry, not so much, as all of you are aware. We all have little tourism spots. And, that's something that we continue to work with, trying to get them to bounce back. And hopefully we will see a change from orange, maybe to yellow, which is where we were before the shutdown and the stay-at-home order happened. But in the meantime, we're doing what we can to keep moving forward.
Right. Well, it's interesting because when I looked at the maps, just to make sure I had your colors correct, the one thing I noticed about Port Hope or your region is, while you are orange, you are surrounded red to the west, green to the east, and yellow to the north. So you really are an area where I'm guessing people might make that travel. They might go from one area to the other just based on the colors. Are you seeing that?
Well, we were seeing it. Like I said, I had some businesses in our downtown core tell me they have the best December they've ever had, and they've been in business for years in downtown Port Hope. They opened their doors to obviously shoppers, because we are in the business world. We have to have, some profit level if we're going to succeed and continue to thrive. Providing obviously all safety precautions and following the rules and the regulations from a health and safety perspective. But we do see it. And I mean, even our neighbors to the east of us, their medical officer of health issued further when they became green. They were the first ones to open up. They were given instruction that they weren't to serve people who were coming from other districts and other regions, that they needed to use their good decision-making skills and not necessarily open up their restaurant to, a busload of businesses that want to celebrate their employees, which I know a restaurant in Quinte West was offered and the medical officer of health said, no, we need to try to stay at home within our region. And I think that's the message that we all have to share and try and get out there, is stay within your region. And hopefully that'll help to keep the numbers and the variants where they are.
Yeah. And you've all mentioned tourism in conversation, which we are responsible for tourism in our community on behalf of the town. So I completely understand. And we have really kind of adopted this change to what a tourist is. And, now we're looking at it more as that staycationer, that day tripper, that person who's just going to tour their own backyard because they can't go anywhere else. But I know tourism has been, a big challenge for so many of our chambers and boards of trade. Shelley, is that one of your biggest challenges? And you are close to a huge tourism destination.
I think, yes, obviously, especially in the food and beverage industry, we have a lot of issues around, there's just no bums in seats, which frankly, that's what a lot of restaurants need. I think, especially too, there have been for quite a few weeks now, additional restrictions imposed via a Section 22 order on food and beverage and now retail. So I think people just feel that more and more and more is crunching in. I think though it's a wonderful opportunity to really celebrate local, to celebrate and encourage everyone to embrace this concept of that internal tourism, that idea that, hey, maybe we can't travel, but look at the amazing businesses, look at the amazing things we have here, and let's celebrate and really support local. It's been a huge focus of our chamber's activities and our social media, really kind of identifying for people the ways that they can support local and really make a difference in their own community.
Is that how you feel, Wendy?
Oh yes, most definitely. We have the campaign support local as well. Kingsville, which is we work very well with the community of Kingsville, and they had open streets last year. Point Pelee National Park has seen numbers like no other. So a lot of people are getting out and getting visiting, but we still have a large decline with tourism. We're U.S. citizens across the Detroit tunnel and bridge, and so we've lost that aspect of tourism. But local tourism is where it's at, and people are changing things up, the way they are doing things, and bringing it. It's going to recover, and it's going to recover for the better, and that's what I'm going with. I'm hoping.
Well, I was just going to ask you what some of the challenges are, but now I feel like you're so hopeful that you're not going to want to answer. But is that the challenge? Is dealing with the lack of tourists, dealing with for us, it's just been, there's so many changes, and it changes on a daily and a weekly basis, so it's hard to keep up.
I think too, maybe the inconsistencies are quite a challenge. Like, can I open? Can I not open? If I'm opening, when can I open? How many servers do I need? So there's just a lot of inconsistency with messaging, right? So that's what I'm finding is a big challenge with our chamber members.
Right. Rebecca, you're nodding. You feel the same way.
Yes, I think other than the idea that, yes, are we open, are we not open, staying on top of the safety measures, because by and large, I want to say that 99% of the businesses that I have interacted with, they're absolutely 100% on board with doing whatever they can to keep people safe. I want to be open. I want to be open safely. What do I have to do? And when you have changes coming down, sometimes weekly, of, wait, no, there's a new measure, there's a new restriction in place. How do I keep on top of it? That's certainly been a challenge. The idea of COVID fatigue when it comes to a business owner trying to stay on top of things and stay on top of the safety measures, it's a real thing. It's been a lot of heartache for a lot of business owners.
Right. And you feel that in your area, Brenda?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that we have found and discovered is that no two businesses have been impacted the same.
Right.
It doesn't matter, you can roll the dice and you can have two downtown restaurants and they have different impacts based on how able they were to do the big pivot, or, if they were ready and able, if they were willing and able. I think for us, our biggest challenge and our biggest fear is the use of resources that has already happened. So, a year ago when the first shutdown happened, people started to use their cash reserves, their overflows, those types of things. Hopefully they were accessing some of the funding that has been made available since then. But my real fear is that the cash flow has dried up. So the longer it goes on that they have to continue to delay the amount of service they can provide, whether it's, bums in seats like Rebecca talked about, or even just people coming into your store to buy things. If your online hasn't picked up or you haven't been able to engage that digital divide just yet, I think that the real fear is where that cash flow is going to come from if they're not accessing the funds, or if the funds have already been used up by them. So I think the unfortunate for us is that the worst is yet to come. People have been surviving and thriving, and I don't know how long they're going to be able to do that before they have to start making decisions themselves.
Right. And are you seeing that? Because I know for our area, we haven't seen a lot of business close yet. And I want to knock on wood. I want to cross my fingers that we continue to see that, but I just don't. At this point in recovery, the longer it goes on, the more stressed businesses are when they have the conversation with you.
Yeah, I agree completely, Jen. We haven't really had huge impacts of businesses closing. There's not a lot of shutters in our downtown. We actually have celebrated 9 grand openings through COVID. So we've actually had new businesses open up. we're hoping that this resiliency is something that we can be proud of, and we know working together we're going to continue to see. But I really don't know about the down the road and down the path. There's we all know that there's some issues with other supports that are happening, like our vaccination plans and those types of things that we really have started to advocate for, is more information about that, so that we can start to give answers to these businesses about how long is this going to go on. And we know nobody has the answers. More variants are showing up every day. More people are coming down with symptoms in the hot spots. There's so many cards on the table, and like everybody said, the inconsistency and the quick changes and the ability to just pick up and continue and move forward. I'm thankful that we have lots of people with entrepreneurial spirit, because without that, I'm sure we'd have seen a lot more shutters by now.
Absolutely. Wendy, your area is the same?
Yes, and going on with what Brenda said is people don't want to get into more debt, and that's huge. It's just like, where do we even go from here? We've had some of our businesses close, but we've also had some of the businesses open up. So it's just the unknown right now, and we're on the point that we're trying to be positive on all our messaging that we send out, but it is frustrating, and we have to go with the science that's been delivered to us. So that's what we're doing. Right.
We're nearing the end of the show, and I certainly can't leave this show on a negative. I can't have people be sad when they watch the show. So maybe let's shift to, I know we're all exhausted. I know that this has been the hardest year that I've worked, whether it's stress wise or just feeling on my shoulders, the negative of what businesses are going through. So I know that we all feel the same way, but out of this and resilience and recovery, what is it that, you're taking forward? Is there light at the end of the tunnel? Have you found the silver lining? Rebecca, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I think that truly the silver lining of this is the chance to really exemplify what it is we have always said as chambers, and that is the idea of collaboration, the idea of working together, the idea of don't be afraid to have a conversation, don't be afraid to find interesting, innovative ways to work with a business that on the surface maybe has nothing in common with your business. This is the push to try something completely new, because no one expects perfect. So let's go, let's just try it. So I think we've already seen a lot of very interesting innovation, and similarly, we've had a few new businesses pop up out of what's happened with COVID. I think that recovery is around the corner. We just gotta roll up our sleeves and keep going. We can get there together.
Yeah. Wendy, what about you?
Yes, collaboration, most definitely. I think the more we can work together with our business partners, with our chamber network, with the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, like everybody working together is really helped things out. Like none of us have been through a pandemic before, and we know that, there's so much generosity out there. There's so many people willing to help other people in whatever way they can. So I feel that, I always say at the end of everything, stay safe, be kind. That's my message.
That's a great message for everyone to have. And Brenda, how about you?
I totally agree with the collaboration stuff. Without our chamber network and our businesses working together at whichever local community they're in, there would not be as much survival as there has been. I think for me, there are two other silver linings. One is the value of embracing the digital world. We were all told that it was coming, and we all got thrust into it pretty fast. So not only are we doing interviews with Jen on Zoom, but we're also showing our businesses how to get online and how to stay online. And we've had some businesses that have closed their bricks and mortars to save money because they can do it all online. And I think the other one for me is the fact that we really need each other. And the one thing when you talk to businesses and you talk to customers and you talk to tourists, and what they miss is the human contact. They miss rubbing elbows, being in spaces, being able to, really just feel the warmth of the smile and not just see the smile on the screen. And I think that when we come out of this recovery, we're all going to want to spend a lot more time with our neighbors, with our friends, exploring the things that we have readily available to us without the threat of a stay-at-home or having to wear the mask on our faces, that kind of thing. So I do think, the kindness that people are showing each other is really just evolving that feeling of we belong in our community and we need to take care of our community. So whether that's family, friends, neighbors, complete strangers, right? I think that's our big silver lining, is that we matter to each other.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. And, you hear about people and how they want to get on a plane and they want to go on a vacation and they can't wait to do all of these things. But I think you're right. At the end of the day, people have maybe started to understand a little bit more how important their own community, their own backyard is, and just, being in that community and supporting one another. Because you're right, we are a long way from that full recovery. And so everything that we can do to help local businesses, I think is of value. Will we ever be on a Zoom call again? That's it. And that's open to all of you. I mean, we've done so many. How many, Rebecca, you said how many today? 5?
My fourth one, and I have 3 more.
Yeah. So,
I'm in 3 of those with her.
Yes, you are.
Well, and that's the example, right? The example you just gave of how you're what, 3 hours apart from each other?
2.5 maybe.
Depending how fast you're going. And, and yet you can still in one day have 3 different conversations with each other.
And I think that'll continue. I think it's now, we'll be leaning towards hybrid approaches. You can hire students from BC on a grant program to work for you if they can do what you need them to do online, because we all know the technology is there now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to each of you for being a part of the show today. Really appreciate it. Love the conversation. It was great. And for more information about Mind Your Business, you can head to the Rogers TV YouTube channel. All of our episodes are there, so you can see past topics, past information. But we look forward to seeing you on a future show. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Mind Your Business.